Alright, what's up friends? So today we're going to be using the ledge as a tool to understand how we need to settle our weight into the lock-in. So I'm going to be using the front crook as an example and how I approach just using what stalling a front crook taught me about settling in the weight. But the truth is you can approach this with any of the tricks you want to learn. You could generally pop into the trick, but for starters, even just locking in your weight, placing yourself over it and feeling how it should feel, that lock-in, you see how it's pinched, is super helpful when you want to understand where you need to place your foot so that lock-in is very effective, right? So if I have my foot on the nose kind of hanging off, where would I need this foot so that I can lock it in? Would it be too close? Okay, but is that effective when I'm alling into it? Maybe not. So maybe, just playing around with different front foot positionings, basically where I'm applying that tension from, is really, oh, did I just pop?
No, it was most likely just the wood.
Oh, okay. So just maybe switching up the foot positioning a little bit and then seeing how I can also have this back foot complement or like assist that lock-in is super helpful. Now, it's not just about making sure you find the pinch, but it's about being able to apply, once you get the pinch, apply something like opening up to the direction you're going. So with this pinch position, can I open up my body slightly, right? You can probably film from right there. Can I open up my body slightly where I'm opened up to the direction I'm going, and I also have leverage to pop out, right? So for context, there's like a little summer camp happening, so I'm not trying to make too much noise, so we're just gonna stick with stalls. But you can pop out of this where you're here, opened up, and you see if you can nudge yourself out as you're still over that lead foot, right? So this is super helpful because a lot of times when we approach locking into tricks or learning new grind tricks, this can also be slides. I'm using a grind as an example, but you can also think about the slide. A lot of times we're learning these, we rely too much on speed, force, like power, pressure, and how do I say this? And kind of guessing and learning from through force instead of really feeling it. And so this allows you to feel what it means to lock on and see if from that position you can be effective with popping out. So for example, right, I can lock on like this, my feet in a narrow stance, but is this effective to pop out, right? Or is it even something that I can sustain and get real comfortable with so that by the time I want to learn a flip out or 180 out, is it going to be effective for those variations, right? And so it kind of helps you set you in the right how do I say this, give you some insight on the approach you need to take so that you can, everything after learning how to lock on or do that trick just happens a bit more fluidly. You're really able to feel it instead of just forcing and just trying to thrash it out. And so, like I said, I use the front crook to learn this or to really play around with this idea. But you can do it with a front nose. You could even do it if you're doing variations like a front nose to front crook. Just play around with, can I adjust my foot positioning? Am I still stable? Or how do I stay stable in this stall, this posture? A lot of times we get so used to doing nose slides with heavy on the back foot, and if you try to do that on the ledge, you're gonna see yourself falling off. So what it can teach you with the feedback that gives is like, okay, how do I not fall off and stay on it? Do I have to get closer and stay closer to my lead foot? Do I have to open up to the direction I'm going? Do I just need to get a bit stronger on my tibialis, my forefoot muscle? And it also tells you like, oh my god, maybe it feels uncomfortable, maybe the heel is putting too much pressure, and you can feel that on your Achilles or your thighs. And so it just gives you so much, it's an opportunity, the ledge is an opportunity to give so much feedback that you can apply, learn from, you can iterate from, and then apply it when you start to add a little bit of speed, start to add some pop out, and just even variation. So for tricks like let's say a crook, right? I have crooks very well, but let's say I wanted to do a nollie heel out of it. I can play around with this position and basically see how this foot needs to be on the nose or on the truck so that I can effectively nollie heel, right? So I can play around with just throwing a nollie heel. Like I said, I don't want to make noise, so I'm not going to do it right now, but just use your imagination and think about if I were to have my heel applying pressure, it's still locked on, and then try and heel flip. You see how it kind of rolls out? That feedback will allow me to adjust, iterate upon the previous attempt, and just pretty much switch up the approach a little bit. And so the approach might be, okay, little by little, bring it to the forefoot, and at this point, you know, it might actually work to actually go for it. So this is a learning. This is a learning process that's very contextual to the ledge you're stalling on. You know, not every ledge is the same. Some ledges are hard to hold, you know, especially if they're a little rounded or if they're high, and it's just kind of scary to be practicing it. So even just doing it on a small curb like this, it's still a ledge, it's a variation of a ledge, is super helpful because there's no fear. You don't tense up. You don't go into like a flight or fight stage. You're really just able to experiment and see, you know, what your capabilities are. As far as like applying pressure through the forefoot, can you kind of, do you have, you see, so do you have range of motion in this position without being very unstable? Or can you improve that range of motion by just attempting to stay on the slide, right? Because, okay, maybe I can do a nose slide, but if you want to learn nollie flip out, but you can never get a flick, if you're in this position, can you get a bit lower without it losing the lock-in, right? Because you see how I got lower and it kind of leveled out? That can teach you something. That can tell you, okay, I need to make sure I go down with it without it fully going outside of this position, a lock position, because this is gonna allow me to nollie flip out so much more efficiently. And so the next time, I'm too close if I go here.
You're good.
Okay, I just don't want to be,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? So the next time, you know, you find a ledge in front of you or you don't really feel like skating, this is a very great thing to apply when you have like 10%, 20% in your tank, because you kind of get a bit playful. You start to imagine, oh man, what if I could do this trick, you know? And then maybe you go back 180 to like a 5-0, or maybe you know, there's a lot of weird grinds, and so you can play around with this. You can see if you can switch the 5-0 to like a fakey crook. And so whatever it may be, you know, you're really just figuring out what works and how applying the weight is more of you settling in to the lock-in instead of forcing it. Because a lot of us, we rely on speed and just slamming the trucks onto the ledge and hoping that it locks on, or like just with that practice figuring that out. And even though that's okay, you know, that I've learned a lot of tricks like that, there's a lot more tools to bring into your bag so that it can help you, right? Because I think a lot of us are okay with the bag of tricks we have, but it never hurts to test things out. It never hurts to expand our bag and see what's possible. For example, you know, for a long time when I did crooks, I just kind of was okay with nollie flipping out and nollie frontside flip. But as I started to improve my range of motion, my stability in it, tricks like crook and nollie backside flip, started to spark, because I'd be on a ledge, just kind of trying out a lock-in and see how that would be possible, right? See where I would need to have my front foot, so that when I applied pressure to go for the nollie backside flip, is this something that's like, how do I say this, attainable, right? Or is this something that I still need work on? And that's when I go back to this little curb or a ledge, in the sense it being a drawing board, and see where I can improve and where I can go from there, right?
Sounds like you're saying to build fluidity.
Yeah, well, no, this is a tool to help you build, I wouldn't say, fluidity in the sense where you're not forcing the lock-in. You want to settle in your weight. The main thing that I want you to get from this is you want to allow your weight, just simply you being over that lead foot, to lock you in. So if you're not locked in when you're settled in over that lead foot, you might want to think about switching the foot positioning, right? Or the board slightly, so that you don't have to be pushing forcing that lock in. You should just be able to lock in and stand on, or be in the position. You know what I mean? You can see the truck. Look how it's from the back, I think. You can see how that's locked in, right? Yeah. And so this is not taking the force in there. I see a lot of skaters, they'll do an ollie, and then you'll hear the truck smack, and them slowly maybe going into the crook if they're strong enough. But that's not reliable, because if it's not a great ledge, you're just gonna get flinged forward. And so regardless if it's a great ledge or not, you want to build fluidity. You want to make sure you're just locking in with your weight, or using your weight to lock in, instead of just forcing yourself in there. So having said that, you be open to skating what can be perceivably as silly. Something like this seems very humbling. Look over here. Something very humbling, because it's just a small ledge, but you can easily overlook it, and that's the biggest mistake you can do, because this gives you the confidence, the comfort to actually try things that you wouldn't otherwise try on a ledge that you normally skate, or on a ledge that you're trying to trick on in the streets. And so just some ways this has helped me is improving front crook and also front side nose slide, right? I was only ever comfortable doing a front side nose slide by staying here, but you see how I'm closed off to the direction I'm going, being able to just stabilize and make sure that I don't need to widen the stance, so that I can still turn, right? So being able to do that was super eye-opening, and it just expanded my bag of tricks on the ledge. So one of the many reasons why it has benefited me, and I'm sure it will benefit you. Wait, how much time do you have?
13:40.
Okay, so I'm going to I'm trying to think if there's another ledge. Really need some skating here, huh? So let's play around with some.
I think it's pretty good, honestly.
Pretty good? Okay, so we'll just leave it at that. So let your weight settle in. Don't force the slides or the grinds. Use something like a curb. Use something like a curb as a tool, instead of something that's easily dismissed, and where you can't learn nothing from it. So having said that, I hope you got something from this, or I'm sure you'll get something from this video if you apply it on a small curve that you might have at the skate park, or outside your house, or wherever you live. And so yeah, hope you enjoyed this video. Give me some comments if you have any questions, or you'd like me to elaborate on, because this is very nuanced, and I can talk about many I can use a lot of other tricks, or even next video could be me popping into the stall, right? And how that how you can apply settling your weight in with that, right? And the reason why a curve is, just to reiterate on why it's so useful, a curve is because if you fall or if you don't lock on, there's a lot less risk, right? And so we want to feel comfortable taking risk, and the way we do that is by choosing something a bit, I wouldn't say safer, but a bit less at risk adverse, I think. Yeah. So, like I said, leave your questions, leave your comments, ask for elaborations. I see the comments. We're making videos. Hope you are, tuning in and tune into the lives. There's going to be a lot more. If you're interested in coaching or lessons, hit me up at profe.carlos on Instagram, profe.carloss. And you can, send me a message, and then once I respond to the message, it will allow you to submit a video, and we can go, I can give you some feedback, and we can also see if coaching or lessons are something that you might be interested in that might help you. Again, till next time, peace out.